What is up, everyone? One last ride, one last night. Are you guys ready for the final AP History Masterclass featuring your favorite people, maybe for one more week anyway? AP World, we got one more week. I think Euro, you're Monday?
Monday at noon. Ooh.
US, you got a full week because you got till next Friday. Nice. All right. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome aboard. Let me see if everything is working on my end. It looks like it is. So hopefully you guys can hear me and everything. Welcome to the last part of your exam. So the last thing you're going to do on here is do an L.E.Q, the long essay question after all the other stuff. So tonight we're going to get you through it. Tonight shouldn't be too long. Hopefully shouldn't be too much. There's not a lot of moving parts here. This is kind of like the SAQ night. So don't expect a ton of things. Did I accidentally block the chat? Chat, can you not talk? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Let me
silenced them.
I know. That's my bad. No, you're here. You're good. Can anybody say anything to anyone at this point? We do like to hear from you guys. Oh, who can send? All right, chat. My B. Try that. Are you here? Meanwhile, hi. How are you? We are. Oh, there's no. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry, avalanche of people. Tonight's the night. So let's go through the L.E.Q. The L.E.Q is the last thing you have to do. It's the last skill you have to do. That's my fault, everyone. Sorry. So let's get introductions out of the way so we can get going. Miss Brady, I feel like we should have invited her in now that I have a second. Like, there she is. You should have come in. We could have done a Q&A.
Honorary teacher. Yep.
What's it like being a celebrity in the chat? Like, you know people we don't. Like, how did you become so popular over there? So anyway, let's do it. So hi, if you don't know me by now, you're on my channel. Hi, click subscribes up here. Not just me, but the two actual real teachers down here. I mean, I'm a real teacher, but I just kind of make Star Wars jokes in front of a group of 30 sleeping sophomores. So follow us. We post stuff about this in the coming weeks. I'll bring this up now because I forgot to make a slide for it. I'm doing a big Kahoot on Monday night. May the 4th be with you on Monday night. So if you won in your class, you could participate, ask your teacher about it. We are into the hundreds of participants now, so I'm kind of excited. But all the other stuff is there. Ultimate Exam Slayers, all that stuff. We got a discount code tonight if you guys want to get in last second for some big savings there. So that's me. I'm Ben Freeman. I do AP World History things.
That's me. My name is Emily Poole. I do all kind of AP European history stuff. Like Ben Freeman said, I've been posting pretty actively on my TikTok. So if you're an AP Euro student, make sure that you're following along with that. I'm posting content reviews and a bunch of skills-based reviews too. So like what you're getting here, but in 60-second versions. And like him, I have all the things on YouTube, and we have the Ultimate Review Packet, Ultimate Exam Slayer. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Hi, I'm Kristen Funderburg. I run the APUSH Ultimate Review Packet with Dana, who is not with us tonight. We love all things AP US history, but it is a B, so it takes two of us to conquer this monster, but we love doing it. We have been posting daily tea time review, the countdown, 8 days and counting till APUSH. We are here to get you ready, and those of you that are in World with Mr. Freeman going to APUSH next year, go ahead and subscribe now. So when we give you all the tips on all the stuff you actually want to remember from World after the AP exam for APUSH next year, we will see some overlap.
Yes. So like next year, you won't care. If you're in AP World next year, I'm just some weird guy who's in your feed for whatever reason. These people can actually help you out in the future. So if this has been helpful for you, get on that, follow them because they are awesome. Also love the Star Trek references. I'm a big Next Generation guy. I got the Picard situation going on. So, whoops. Sorry. I click. Oh, some of these pictures are hyperlinked. My bad. Hey, we mentioned a discount. If you want a discount in there for the Ultimate Review Packet or the Ultimate Exam Slayer or both, that code works. We had to call our boss to get to get a code put in. So thank you for the guy in charge. I believe his name is Mr. Ultimate. He got in there. So if you need a discount code at the end, if you were waiting and you're like, that's too much money, there's a little discount for you. We thought we'd bring this up here now too. I'm going to make a DBQ prediction. Calm down. Just as soon as I have a free second. The Ultimate Review Packet. If you're looking for content, if you're like, I don't know what the hell these guys are talking about. Like, I don't know what's World War I. Like, if you don't know what content is, that's the Ultimate Review Packet. That's stuff to help you out. If you're like, so I'm hearing a lot about Columbus. What is that? Like, that's what that is for. That's what the Ultimate Review Packet is for. And if you want like practice, like exam questions and key terms and like how to survive the exam itself, not content, but like the exam, the stuff kind of we've been going over. That's what the Ultimate Exam Slayer is. So pick your poison there. If you want a discount, it's there. We'll flash it again at the end. Just Google either of those things and you'll find it. I'm not giving you the prediction right now. Calm down.
We can predict that there will be 7 documents.
Hey,
that is a good prediction. That is a good prediction. Yeah, the last couple of years, it's like for us, it's been over the line. Like it's not in the period. It's not in a unit. It's like, is it unit 5? Is it unit 8? Is it both? Like it's in a lot of stuff. So
well, now there's 2 versions too, so it's everything.
Yes. This is just for the people in this video. There's 300 of us here, so we're kind of family. What I do every year is, I didn't last year. There was a bunch of stuff that came up, but I'll make a prediction video and then I'll go back and congratulate myself for getting it right and voice over myself with the actual DBQ topic so that it sounds like I'm right. And then everyone in the chat gets really upset. They're like, that's not real. You didn't say that. I know. I think it's funny though, so I'm going to keep doing it. Anyway, the L.E.Q prediction. Oh, you'll find out, Lucky, that's almost impossible because it's in 3 different time periods. You're getting ahead of us. All right, let's do this. There's 2 versions. The 2 versions. Actually, this is maybe a good point because the L.E.Q is not going to take us too long to do. And at the end, we'll have questions for all this stuff. There are 2 versions. I have no official say as to what they are. My instinct is in my classes, they almost all get the same one. So is it an East Coast, West Coast thing?
We think
No, because in Colorado last year, my students at my school got the second set, but everyone else that I talked to, all my other AP Euro teachers at different districts, got the first set. So it's not an East Coast, West Coast thing, at least for Euro.
News. Breaking.
Well, that's also because like we're like a little bit different than y'all. We're like a little bit too.
But then there's all the secret exams, and there's multiple of those. So you have the 2 main versions, but then all the sprinklings of secret ones. So
there's a bunch of weird secret ones. There's the standardized one that's been around for years that they don't talk about, and if you're reading it at the read, they don't let you talk.
Secret one, the secret one, the late one, the late one.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch. The
so
internet.
We can make predictions, and it will be right on one of the 20 versions.
It's probably true. That's probably true. So let's do the L.E.Q. Tonight's the L.E.Q. So you've gone through the whole exam. We'll show you where you are and what it means. If you were with us for DBQ night, get ready for repetition. It's a lot of the same, just no documents. So take it away, Kristen. I think you're going to tell us a little bit about what the L.E.Q. is.
Yes. Clearly it is against popular opinion. I love the L.E.Q. This is my favorite A-push skill because this is where you get to talk about the things that you know, as opposed to meeting all these sort of tough standards that College Board throws at you. Will you go to the next slide for us, Mr. Freeman? Okay, so in the exam structure, you start out with section 1, which is your multiple choice and your short answer. So you are almost 2 hours into the exam. You get a 10-minute break, and then they're like, surprise, 100 minutes, write 2 essays in that time. It's a lot. L.E.Q. is going to be the very last thing you do. So in that 100 minutes, you want to prioritize the first 60 minutes for your DBQ, your 15 minutes of brainstorming, 45 minutes of writing, which leaves you about 40 minutes left at the end. We always say to do the L.E.Q. last because it's less percentage of your overall score than the DBQ, right? DBQ is the priority. It takes more brain power. With that being said, we don't want to sleep on the L.E.Q., even though it is only 15%. Basically, the L.E.Q. is probably the easiest part of the exam. So it becomes your buffer, right? You want to do a good job, right? We work smarter, not harder here. And we really, it's all about quality over quantity to make that 15% count. So if you struggle somewhere else on the exam where it's more difficult, this becomes our buffer, especially because you get to pick, right? This is the only place where you are actually in control of the exam. So we use that to our benefit. So what is an L.E.Q, the long essay question? It's just an essay, right? We get lots of questions. The number one question students ask, how long does it need to be? How long does it need to be? Just answer the question, right? You could go with your standard like language arts 5-paragraph essay. That's fine. You could write 3 amazing paragraphs and be done. I would not go less than 3 because then you run the risk of leaving points on the table, but 3-4 paragraphs is great. You don't need a conclusion. It's just an essay. Write some stuff you know, make an argument, defend it, mic drop, the end. Really what they are looking for is that you can build and defend an argument here. So if you look at this image over here on the right, these are the historical thinking skills laid out by College Board. This is in the CED. So if you just Google APUSH CED, World CED, Euro CED, it's in there. And if you look at these little highlighted sections, basically all they say is evidence, argument, evidence, argument, evidence, argument. This is the place where College Board gives you choices. You pick one and you make whatever argument you want about that topic and you prove it, right? You are proving that you can make an argument and defend it. And what's amazing is that you get to pick from 3 questions. The questions will be similarly worded. They're the same skill, but you get to pick one, right? So pick whatever you want, make your best argument, move on with your day. So here's the long essay question. This basically outlines the rubric for you. You're going to have a thesis. You're going to have a context paragraph, at least 2 pieces of evidence. Use historical reasoning, right? Those skills that your teachers talk about all year long, cause and effect, change and continuity, compare and contrast. If the essay says cause, talk about causes, you're good, right? And then demonstrate a complex understanding. So we're going to break down these rubric pieces for you. But this little document here is amazing because on your test day where you don't have the fancy rubrics that your teachers have been giving you all year, this is on your screen the entire test, right? So it's going to remind you, oh crap, I got to write my thesis, right? Oh, got to go back and make sure I have that context, right? They give you clues, even though they don't give you the full rubric, to make sure you're hitting all these points that they are asking for. So use this as your little checklist. Oh, there it is right there. See, that's what you will see on your screen, right? They give you the rubric without giving you the rubric. It is your friend. Use it. Ben, you want to jump in here?
Sorry, I'm over here muted. So if you remember, if you were here for DBQ night, you're probably like, wait a minute, that's a similar thing. So this is the time periods they can ask. So you get an option. That's the beauty of the L.E.Q. In my opinion, you get 3 options. And so where do they come from? So if you look at these in columns here, I'll talk about the world one. We kind of do some overlap. So the question 1, so you'll have 3. So you got to do the DBQ and then you get 3 L.E.Qs. So question 1 so there's 3, obviously 3 L.E.Qs. Question 1 here will come from the first 4 units. So something you did in like the first third of the year. So that's like trade routes, empires kind of stuff. The second L.E.Q. will come from kind of the middle of the year. So like empires and the Industrial Revolution and the consequences of that Industrial Revolution. Essentially, political revolutions too, maybe in there. And then the third one is the third part of the year. So you can kind of see it's a clear overlap. It's beginning, middle, end of the year. So if it's not like all 3 will be about the land-based empires. Like that's insane. So there'll be 1 from the beginning, 1 from the middle, 1 from the end. I think Euro, you guys have something similar?
Yeah, ours is the exact same. So we have something, our first question is going to come from 1450 to 1700. Question 2 is going to come from 1648 to 1914. And then question 3 is 1815 to 2001. So again, if I'm you, I want to study this strategically. I would study probably like what Mr. Freeman would suggest is stuff from the middle of your course, because I think that's what's going to show up the most. And I think if you can study the middle of the course, especially for Euro, you're going to have more success on your DBQ and on your L.E.Q. because you have the choice to choose the one from the time period that you know the best. But APUSH has it a lot easier than us.
Yeah, easy peasy. It's the only thing easy in APUSH, right? Easy peasy. APUSH is 9 time periods. So we have an early, middle, and late. So we have an L.E.Q. from 1 through 3, an L.E.Q. option from 4, 5, and 6, and then an L.E.Q. option from 7, 8, and 9. So you're either going to have like pre-Columbian to Revolution, and then the middle one is going to be like 1800s, political era, Civil War, going into like Gilded Age a little bit. And then the later one is going to be from like imperialism through like World Wars, Cold War, things like that. So an early, a middle, and a late with clear cut lines. Oh, you're on mute, Ben.
I do love how clean cut it is. I mean, look at the clean lines that they have going on here. It's not fair. I mean, but again, that can lock you out. At least 1, 2, and 3 in AP or World and Euro is kind of nice. I don't know. It's a preference thing. So, but that's how they'll break down. So if you're like, well, what are the questions going to be? Like, can you predict? No. Look at Euro. They don't even have units that make sense together. Like 16, what? Get out of here. Y'all's years are insane. So, all right, enough. So that's where they come from. So big deal. What do you? Oh, and so again, you can see them here. If you're taking a look, you can see, depending on if you're watching this on your phone, maybe that's too small. But I assume most of you are in a theater watching this. We're live streaming this around the world. So the 3 questions here. Notice the questions are all 2, 3, and 4 because the first question is the DBQ. So the other 3 are all here. So you can kind of see you got world in the middle, right where we belong. But again, the dates are all aligned and all these are right where they say they'll be. So there you go. And again, these are the print versions. You'll be doing it online. So it'll be a little in your face, I guess. You won't have to flip back and forth to see it. So it's rubric time. How do I get the points? I want the points. I want to go to college. Fine. Here's how you get the points. You are all familiar with the 7 documents and the 7 points of the DBQ. This ain't the DBQ. This is the L.E.Q. So here's how you get the points. Strangely, kind of the same. So, and we're going to go through all of these together. I'm just giving you an intro heads up. So the thesis is the same. Make a claim. I call it a concrete claim. Make a concrete claim. Lay down the law. Like make an argument. Say something with meaning and evidence. Something specific as you can be. You don't have your little documents to help you out anymore. You have to know something. So name it. Say it and say it in the thesis. And it has to be in the introduction or conclusion. That's the only writing thing. Grammar, none of that is mentioned in the College Board. What they do mention is that you do have to say this in the introduction or conclusion. So otherwise, nothing really matters. You can put context randomly floating around. Don't, but you could. So then you have contextualization. We all recommend a paragraph. Give background. If you don't know the answer to the question, do you know anything about the topic? Give context. And that should help you out. A couple sentences, 3 sentences. I would suggest a paragraph. It disgusts me how many people skip it. It's so weird. It's still weird to me. I'm grading these tonight. I was grading a bunch of these tonight and during class today when I was supposed to be doing other things. So just no context, just no background, just nothing. Just here's me trying to answer. So give context. I think so. Those are the same. That's the same. There's no difference in that. And evidence is the same. Here's the weird part. Just got to know it. If you don't know it, you don't know it. So this is what you just have to know. This isn't a document. This isn't like, I would like to have a document. That's 20 years ago on these exams. You need to just know something. So if you can name 2 pieces of evidence relevant to the topic at all. If it's a question about World War I, talk about trenches, talk about Treaty of Versailles. Those are relevant. Do they have anything to do with your thesis? No, but they're relevant to the prompt. So do that. It's the same. This is the equivalent of just describing a document. You're just saying something relevant. That's low bar. To get 2 points, you need to use those 2 things. If you're British, sorry. If you use those 2 things to support your thesis, and that's the same as the documents points. So far we're 4 points in. What about the last 2? Last 2 are pretty simple. Maybe they're not. These are actually the more difficult ones to kind of wrap your head around. What kind of essay are you writing? Are you writing a comparison essay, a causation essay? Are you talking about change a lot? Are you talking about continuity a lot? Like that needs to be the backbone of your essay. You can't just name this, done. That's the equivalent of just writing Doc 1, Doc 2, Doc 3 says. No, you need a style. You need to write. You're writing. It is just an essay. That's a great line. It is just an essay. Don't freak out. It's not like it's anything crazy. It's just intro, body paragraphs, conclusion, or at least restating your thesis at the end. But just you have to use one of these skills. The College Board is obsessed with historical thinking skills. This is where they make you do it on the exam. And then complexity. We'll get into complexity in a minute. It's a whole lot of things. They have simplified it a little bit. They did this last year, which is nice. And so the short version is, can you use 4 pieces of evidence to support your thesis? 4 pieces of evidence to support your thesis. Do that, you're in. That's what I'm talking about. Context, thesis, do you know 2 pieces of evidence about this? Can you use 2 pieces of evidence about this to support your thesis? Are you using historical thinking skills? And then number 6 is complexity, the unicorn. So that's how it breaks down. That's how it will break down. Oh, so I didn't realize this was here now. So that's complexity. It's a lot. There's a lot of things. So sorry, it's complexity on the right. On the left is the historical thinking skills, causes. Oh wait, this is all complexity. Yeah, this is all. That's how much stuff is complexity. So even the complexity rubric is complex. So we'll get into that in a minute. So let's start at the beginning. So we've seen where it can come from for all our classes. You met all of us. That's great. You saw the rubric. Those are the 6 points. Okay, let's break them down one by one. First things first, the prompt. It's the only words they're going to give you, the prompt. So here comes the prompt. A lot of good questions, or at least some good questions on the side. That's fun. Wait, there's Q&A at the end. So if you're like a random question person, think about it, write it down, save it, post it at the end, and hopefully we'll get to it. We should have some time. So let's talk about the prompt. I think we're going to go group by group. So Euro, what does your prompt look like? Because ours all look a little different.
Yeah, again, Euro might be the easiest of these tests. So if you're in one of them, you should, again, a reminder to just sign up for the rest of them, because if you've mastered the skills in one of these classes, you've mastered them for all of them. And Euro is like easy. I mean, like, let's look at this prompt. Evaluate the most significant something of something tends to be what we go for with the L.E.Q. So it can be evaluate the most significant political cause or social difference between this thing and this thing. So it's just asking you to like look at a historical thinking skill. What is the most significant difference? What's the most significant cause? The example that I have from last year, evaluate the most significant difference between the status of women in the period 1815 to 1914 and the status of women in the period after 1914. Literally, APUSH and AP World kids could answer that question right now, and y'all would be successful on that. So that's what you will tend to see if you're taking an AP Euro class.
APUSH kids would love to see this question.
I love it. I love an essay about women.
This is a solid one, and that's why all of these go. Towards the end of the course, we all start to overlap very heavily. So that's the Euro sample. Let's see. AP World. AP World is, we were calling it, I don't want to say training wheels, but AP World is, I don't think it's easier. I don't, but
It's
apparently, and I didn't know this. We're look at the US people always hating
No, I said we're leveling. You called it training wheels.
I did. My bad.
We're the training
it's
wheels.
like we get these little, do you see these little, we get the little intro statement. So if you're in AP World, you're going to get a little like, hey, this is what we're talking about. Do you remember Buddhism from the beginning of the course? No? Okay, cool. Do you remember imperial states from 1450 to 17? No? Okay. Do you remember the 20th century that at least I was born in? Do you know that? Then that's going to be it. But they all start the same. Develop an argument. So answer the prompt, make a claim that evaluates the extent to which if I asked you to type this in the chat, you better be able to say how much did this play a role? They're trying to force you to make an argument. So that's what ours is going to look like in 6 days and 11 and 10 and a half hours. That's the world version.
Okay, so for APUSH, we're the world version without the training wheels. So we also have evaluate the extent, right? That how much, once you can see here from 2023, evaluate the extent to which changes in foreign policy contributed to territorial growth. We don't get the little hint statement that world gets, which is a bummer, but if you look at where we've bolded the text here, you can really kind of pick apart what it's asking for, right? How much change was there for foreign policy, right? What's the connection between these things? We also have evaluate the relative importance. So usually this is cause and effect, and it wants you to rank the causes or effects here. The best news about APUSH is that we pretty consistently get one of these two, and the wording for the DBQ is identical. So if you can understand these two prompts, DBQ or L.E.Q, you're solid. But last year, College Board threw a curveball, but I think it was like a great one. Not on the DBQ, only on the L.E.Q. They changed the wording to how. So if you see here the 2025 example, evaluate how different reform movements in the United States responded to industrialization. So it's still asking you for a historical thinking skill, right? So in this case, they're asking you cause or change, but instead of saying how much or relative importance, they just say, tell me how, right? You can just talk about it without having to like rank it or quantify it. So I actually think it kind of simplified it. It made APUSH just a little bit easier. So last year is the first year we saw those on the L.E.Q. So I anticipate maybe we'll see a little more of these this year. I do think that they are a little simpler to answer. But if you see the other ones, they're the same wording as the DBQ, either how much did something change or ranking cause effect.
Yeah, very good. So that's what you're going to see. Those are the skills. Those are the words. So when you're through the DBQ and you're tired and you've been 3 hours or whatever this is, you're going to see this is the words they're coming at. So don't be afraid of developing or evaluate the relative importance for US or develop an argument, evaluate the extent to which for world. It's doable. How is it doable? Let's try it. All right, Emily, what do you got here? Are you going to do this for us?
Yes. So we wanted to give y'all an example that regardless of the class you're in, you would be able to answer. You might just have a different focus based on whatever class you're taking. So the example prompt we came up with was evaluate the extent to which foreign policy changed in response to the Cold War in the period from 1945 to 1989. And as I go over breaking down this prompt, I also want you to throw your answers into the chat. You can answer in a straight up thesis, or you can just give us like a really quick typed answer if you want to try to get something in the chat before other people say your answer. When you get to and evaluate the extent to which question, you can think about it as like a number line, right? Like 0% to 1%. It minorly changed, it moderately changed, it majorly changed. And you can use those words, or you can use words like it changed a little, it changed a lot. But remember, when we get to thesis statements, we got to make sure that we are saying why, that we are giving a such as, that we are giving a because or a due to. Mr. Freeman, are you checking in some of the chats and reading out these answers? Because I'm not paying that much attention to what's going on over there. Do we got some good answers so far?
Someone wanted to see my dog. So that's the level we're dealing with over it. No,
you're locked in as my students are. Yeah. Okay.
It's creepy. They knew my dog's name. She's been on these videos before. There's a lot of really good questions going on. There's a lot of teachers over here in the chat that look pretty good. So a lot of people getting into Cold War stuff. They're talking about non-aligned movement. What else was good here? NATO. Someone keeps saying this, but RIP using documents. Yeah, it isn't. You kind of want to be like, well, I don't know, give me 7 things and maybe I can tell you about it later.
But also by this point in the test, you've seen 5,000 million billion documents. Like, you've stored them in your brain, right? Every other part of the test has prepared you for the part without documents.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about the effect of communism. A lot of good answers.
Awesome. The key thing to remember. Oh, I wonder if that's going to come up in a little bit. Key thing to remember for this prompt, y'all, is that you just need to make sure that you are using, especially if it's an evaluate the extent to which, a qualifying word, like quantifying word. Sorry, like how much did it change? Let's see how we would answer that.
Quick shout out. I live kind of in Leesburg, Virginia. At least my school is in Leesburg, Virginia, and that's where George Marshall lived. So you can go. I toured his house. It's an old house, but it's fun. Anyway.
I'm actually kind of jealous about that.
I did a whole video. I did a short anyway of like, do you live near AP World History? And the only like little kind of thing is that I live right down the road from George Marshall. So anyway, big shout out. All right. So this is, and again, for all of us, this is something you could see, and it's got that evaluate the extent to which. Awesome. All right. Ooh, let's crawl it. Context. What's up?
Oh yeah, I'm getting right into this one too. Sorry. So contextualization is how you're going to start out any single essay in your AP history class. I always tell my students to write contextualization first. Mr. Freeman was talking about this earlier. It should be 3 to 5 sentences, and you are situating the events of the prompt into the broader narrative of history. If you don't know what that means, previously on before a new episode of TV. I love the show Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy has been on for more than half of my life. And what they like to do in Grey's Anatomy is bring up characters from like season 5. I think we're like season 28 right now. And I don't remember who they are, but like the 30 seconds of a like previously on shows you the highlights of exactly what you need to know so that when you're starting to watch the episode, it all makes sense to you. That's what contextualization is. What do I need to know that led directly to the events of the prompt? And you're going to start kind of big and then just zoom your way down until you actually get to your thesis statement. Star Wars intro crawl, as Mr. Freeman likes to say it.
Thank you. Let's use our vocabulary. That's what it is. I did have someone on the side who needs extra credit in their class. And so that's more important than anything. Miss Brady, are you giving extra credit to Chem with 2 M's? Because I think you need to. So highly recommend. And plus, she said it's worth $2. So this is speaking of Cold War, that is a capitalist transaction. And we all just saw it live in real time. So, I mean, it's maybe an equity situation. I don't know how that works out on your end, Miss Brady, but shout out there for that. So yeah, Star Wars crawl, like someone joined your class yesterday, fill them in on what's going on. All right. So.
Yeah. So what the College Board directly says is that you need to describe that broader historical context relevant to the prompt. I always tell my students to write contextualization before the events of the prompt, but you can also talk about contextualization after. That just seems to make less sense in my brain. And I would like to think if it makes less sense in my brain, it maybe makes less sense in teenage brains. So just always talk about what's going on beforehand. Summarize the major events beforehand that lead up directly to the prompt. And I'm seeing a couple of y'all are talking about things in the chat right now. Yeah, how would you situate a prompt dealing with the Cold War? I mean, you should probably talk about like World War II and then like the US and the Soviet Union emerging as superpowers. I feel like in expanding on that for a little bit would be a great contextualization. Please be specific. When you get to your contextualization, you need to actually still show understanding of what you're talking about. Name real events, name real systems, use your vocab. You want to show the readers what you know. So you're not saying like prior to this event, they did these things. prior to what event, who did what things, right? You just want to be as specific as possible. And you need to aim for at least 3 sentences for you to actually fully build out that contextualization.
So case in point, unresolved tensions between wars. Is that going to get any point for you, Ms. Poole?
No, because as a European history teacher, I talk about wars all the time. And I don't know what you mean by unresolved tensions. Between what wars? Are we talking about the 30 Years' War in the 1600s? You need to be way more specific than that.
So this is what we call a truism, where it's always true of anything. And so how can you make it true for this and not true for everything? Right? How can we modify that wording to make it work?
I love that. That's a cool way to say it. That's a cool way. And I'll just put this in here because I'm currently grading these right now. Please say specific things. Like this hurts. This is us reaching through the like paper and screen to you and being like, what do you mean? Like, say something. And if you don't know, you don't know. That's fine. Like, it's a bad day. And I hate
all those bold words in your textbook, like throw those bold words in there. You can even make them bold when you type your essay in AP Classroom, like bold words.
That's true. That's true. So context, give it and make it its own thing. Make it its own thing. Give it a paragraph. So here's a sample here for you.
I'm not going to read out that whole sample contextualization, but I will talk about things you could. Do you want me to?
No.
In my teacher voice?
You're good.
Things you could include, right? Depending on, again, your class, American isolationism. You could talk about the League of Nations, World War I. I wouldn't go much back further before like World War I, because I saw some people in the chat were saying things about Scramble for Africa. That seems like a little too far removed. So try to maybe keep it closer to the events of the prompt. Rise of totalitarianism and fascism, right? What's going on leading up to World War II? World War II happened, everything was bad, leads to a rise of new ideologies. Europe is declining on the world stage, decolonization is happening. Any of those things, if you were to explain them in at least 3 sentences, would get you that complexity point, or sorry, that contextualization point.
And if you are saying Scramble for Africa and Berlin Conference that leads you into a conversation that gets you into imperialism into the 20th century, okay, that's fine. That's good. Do that. But like, don't be like Columbus, right? He had those 3 boats. Anyway, the Cold War. Like, make sure it's something real. It's something
Connect
real.
the dots.
Yeah, connect. There you go. Connect the dots. No truisms. That's my new favorite thing. Truism. Okay. Thesis time. Kristen, what do you got?
All right, we go to the next one.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, so the thesis, again, if you were with us for DBQ night, this will be super familiar because it's literally word for word the exact same thing. We call this a twofer. If you can get the thesis on the DBQ, you can get on the L.E.Q. If you get on the L.E.Q, you get on the DBQ. Make a claim. The thesis is your roadmap. It is your GPS. It is the most important sentence you write in your entire essay because it drives the whole essay, right? It lays out the map for what you're going to write. So take a minute. Clean your essay, break down the prompt. Really, it shouldn't take you more than 20, 30 minutes to actually write the L.E.Q, right? It's about quality, not quantity. So your thesis becomes really important because it sets the tone for your body paragraphs, right? So make a claim. They like the term historically defensible, right? Make a historical statement. The most significant cause was this, this, and this, right? Or this, and this change, right? Whatever the prompt is, make a claim. Create categories in your thesis, right? 2 is good, 3 is better, gives you a little more wiggle room. But your thesis statement is so important. And College Board wording is that it must be at the beginning or the end. We all were talking beforehand, and we have collectively agreed your opening paragraph should be context, 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 thesis. So context should be 3 to 5 sentences, followed by your thesis 1 to 2 sentences, nothing more than 2. Otherwise, like, start going a little off the rails. But so really 5 to 7 sentences is your opening paragraph. Your thesis is smushed together, right? Thesis and context is a 1 paragraph sandwich. We do recommend, because you don't need a conclusion, you can restate your thesis at the very end of your essay. You can kind of refine it after you've written the whole essay. So beginning and end is better. Oh wait, can someone tell me contextualization for claim other way around? So that's a great question. So the question says, does it go thesis context or context thesis? As long as it's in the opening paragraph, you can get the thesis point either way. For us, the thesis is your argument. The context helps your brain connect the dots to get to the argument. This happened, so this happened, so this happened, so boom, here's my argument. The context makes sure your brain understands the prompt and connects you to be able to write about it. So organically, the way our brains work and the way we think and organize information, the context will flow you into your thesis, which is why we say context and thesis in the same paragraph. If you flip it and you do it the other way, that's fine too. I just think mentally the way your brain organizes information, I got a little filing counted up here. Context leads you into your thesis. So it feels more organic that way than being like, bam, here's my argument. Okay, let me go backwards and then let me go forwards again. It just has more of a flow when it's context into thesis. But as long as your thesis is in the first paragraph, it counts either way. What you don't want to do, and we do see this sometimes at the EP reading, is that some students do their context and then they skip a line or two and then do their thesis. And we had a huge debate last year at the EP reading, because if it's underneath the paragraph, then it's not in the paragraph, and then it's not at the beginning anymore. So it became a really gray area. So please, like when I say paragraph sandwich, like thesis context is one paragraph together. We go to the next one. So we gave you an example here, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. You guys can read, but really avoiding the vague statements, right? If it's too vague, those truisms we talk about with people, social, political, economic, right? That's true of every time period. So don't say that. But if you have a specific economic example, so like if you look here, the thesis statement where he says it does earn, right? Expanding economic influence. That's different than economics, right? It's specific. They are trying to expand their economic power, right? So making sure that you're being specific, making sure that you have those categories. If you do not have categories, you will not get a thesis point. I see, can we restate the prompt? You can restate part of it, right? You just want to be careful that you're not only restating it. So like this one says, evaluate the extent to which foreign policy changed. So you could say foreign policy changed in response to the Cold War by this, this, and this, right? So you can pull pieces of it to structure your sentence. You can restate it to build your claim. You just can't only say like foreign policy changed in response to the Cold War, right? You can't just state it as your thesis, but you can embed it into it. Does that make sense?
It does. It's a nice stem. It like starts you writing if you need it. But yeah, the thing that gets me the most that does not, if you were like foreign policy change in response to the Cold War politically and economically, like that's a killer. That'll never work. If you're a category person, just leave. Just don't do it. It just drives me insane.
But Mr. Freeman, could they say politically such as this thing and economically such as this thing?
Yes. An economic way that it changed was
because that goes back into the truisms, right? There's always something political and always something economic. What is political in this question? What is economic in this question, right? You have to connect those categories to this specific thing.
All right. You gave the background. You answered the concrete claim. Yes, I am going to post this. I also posted the other slideshows like the other day. So if you want to go back and look at those may help you like, okay, what were they talking about? Boom, 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 boom. DBQ, SAQ, MCQ, that kind of thing. So if you're joining us tonight, we have others. These are all posted on my channel. You can go back and do that too. That should be fun. So go back and do that. Oh, sorry. I'm getting distracted. Evidence. What do you know? What do you know? And again, I mentioned this earlier, so I'll be quick here because there's nothing crazy here. What do you know about this topic? So it provides specific examples of at least 2 pieces of evidence relevant to the topic of the prompt. It just has to be relevant to the topic of the prompt. So if you're like, oh, crap, I don't, what's the topic about? Like Cold War? Did you see Cold War? Did you see foreign policy Cold War? Anything. Talk about it in some way that makes sense, and you'll get these. These are the lowest bar points you're going to have. We say high bar, low bar. Low bar just means it's easier to get over. That first one is a low bar point. What do you know? Do you know 10 things? Write them all. Do you know 50 things? Write them all. Do you know one thing? Write it. Maybe you'll have a couple nuggets in there that may help you out because it's 2 different things about the topic. Do that. But to get 2 points over here, that's the scary one. Can you support an argument? So support your thesis, or really any thesis, but support your thesis with that evidence. So not just say like, hey, containment and nuclear proliferation, those are Cold War things that affected foreign policy. Okay, how did they do that? Like explain that out, talk that out. Like you need to support what you said using that evidence the same way you would support what you said in a DBQ with evidence from the documents, except this time you're the documents. What do you know? And that's why picking is so important between the 3. Like which one do you like? Maybe you get there at the end, you're like, oh crap, this is the one where I pick. Which of those 3 things do you know the most words about? What vocabulary could you possibly talk about? That's going to get you that 1 point. And then maybe you can use that to support what you're saying. And if you can do that, great. That's going to be the second point on there for you. So It's the same as the DBQ. There's no real difference. It's just, what do you know? Is it in your brain? Maybe. It's the end of the exam. It's a 3+ hour exam. So is it in there? Use it. So what I would do, people are always asking like style wise, there's no style points except for the thesis and introduction conclusion. So for these, I would, if you know one thing about foreign policy changing after 1945, I'm already forgetting the prompt. If you know, I guess I could go back. Evaluate the extent to which foreign policy changed the response to the Cold War from the period 1945 to foreign policy changed in response to the Cold War. Okay, so let's say the atomic bomb. I know the atomic bomb. Talk about the atomic bomb. Great. Well, how did they? Well, it made it so that there were no more direct wars. That led to proxy war. You just said proxy war. Right now, you've said another piece of evidence, and if you're using that stuff to support your argument in that the Cold War foreign policy changed because of something, not just that you're saying like, oh, well, Bert the turtle. Like, what do you know that specifically supports? That's how you get that second point. So if you can do that for, now the secret, if you can do that for 4 things, that's complexity. So complexity is like 1,000 words in the rubric. All right, hold on. Someone just said something with money over here. Now you're talking my language. Shout out to the longest name I've ever seen in my life, Miller Antonio von, because somebody said that you wouldn't. Well, flimsy, you did. So congratulations. And that's evidence. That's not the kind of evidence you're going to get that's going to support any thesis, unless your thesis was that Adrian Garcia said you wouldn't do something. Here's evidence that you did. Boom. Now you're supporting your thesis. See how I tied that in for $5. So anyway, that's how it works. That's what you're going to need to do. If you can take 2 things and use it to support, congratulations. Aim for 5. We were talking about this beforehand. If you can do 5 pieces of it, if you're like 5, I don't know any, I can do 2, then do 2, whatever. Do what you can. It's the end of the test. This is your last best shot. Having scored these, and even in the previous exams, the other versions of these L.E.Qs, which used to have a different name, people quit and don't write them. People, like, everyone writes the DBQ. Not everyone does this. If you can just write down a couple pieces of thing, you know, that can help you out. That can help you out. So that's the evidence points. Oh, look at me freelancing. You got a million things over here. I'm sorry. It's been a long
It's past your bedtime. It's okay.
Right. I know. I got class in the morning. So, but look at all these are all examples over here. These are all great. Like, these are all ways to do it. So if you just talked about a couple of those things, that's going to get you 1 point. If you use those to support a thesis about how foreign policy is now changing because of that, congratulations. You're doing well. So that's how it works. It's pretty simple. It's the same as the documents. So these are the documents in your brain. Last step. Who's here?
Will you hit the next slide?
Kristen, let's talk about analysis. These are the last 2 points. These are the scary ones. What's up?
I don't think it's scary.
I do.
So I'm just going to talk about historical reasoning. I'll let Emily talk about complexity here. Historical reasoning is the entire purpose of the L.E.Q. This is what College Board wants you to do. Can you find those historical relationships, right? Cause and effect, compare and contrast, change and continuity. Can you find the balance between those skills? So if the essay says, you know, if the prompt is change, does your essay show that you understand changes in history? If it says causes, did you identify causes? If it says effects, did you identify effects? If it asks for a skill in the prompt and you talked about that skill in your essay, you were going to get this point, right? So there's a reason your teachers have been driving these skills all year long into your school, because everything is College Board's based on them, right? This is literally the purpose of the L.E.Q. If it says cause, can you identify causes, right? If you can argue them, that's even better. But if you say this leads to this, right? Nuclear fears leads to fallout shelters or the SALT treaty or whatever it is. If you can show that cause and effect relationship, similarities and differences, this changed, but this didn't, right? If you can point those things out in your essay, you are going to get those points. Mr. Freeman said they're scary, but as an AP reader, I will tell you this is probably the easiest point to earn, because if you can show one of these skills on your essay, preferably the one they ask for, you are going to get this point, right? Write something about history, cause and this is one cause, this is one effect, right? If you have those types of statements in your essay, you are going to get this point. Easy peasy. I would argue this is probably the easiest point to earn. I like this point. Right? You learn something in history class, your teacher tortured you all year. You can do this one.
I also use sentence stems. Use this as a cause because this led to, this was an effect of, this is a similarity between this and this. Like, you please use those statements if you're struggling, because that'll also then force you to be like, yes, I am addressing the historical thinking skill that was addressed in the prompt.
And this is this is above what you're writing. So like this rubric is there and it'll say comparison, causation, that arrow thing we showed earlier, comparison, causation, continuity, and change over time. So like just look up there and be like, oh, this caused this caused that. It's all there for you. So
And what I love about this point is that it's not something extra, right? Evidence is something you have to do, right? Supporting your evidence is something you have to do. Using for to get complexity is something you have to do. If you're just writing about history, you're already doing this, right? Like it's embedded in what you're already doing. So it's kind of just like, hey, you actually wrote about history. Here's your point.
Getting into complexity, that final 6th point of the L.E.Q, the unicorn point, which for your L.E.Q, depending on how much you know about history, is a lot easier to get now than it used to be. Next slide, please. Complexity, similar to what we talked about on the DBQ, is you just going above and beyond. You are showing complex understanding, that you actually paid attention in your history class, and that you are supporting your argument with so much evidence, with so much understanding. You're looking at multiple themes, multiple causes or effects, both cause and effect, both similarity and difference. I mean, there are a million ways to get this point, but the easiest way to get this point in an L.E.Q is, next slide, use 4 pieces of evidence that you are using to support your prompt, right? Again, you're not just listing 4 pieces of evidence, you're actually using that evidence to support whatever claim you're making. And what was your catchphrase earlier, Kristen?
Oh, high five the L.E.Q. You got to have that insurance policy. High five the L.E.Q.
Yeah, you don't ever want to just stop at the bare minimum of what the College Board is asking. You don't just want to stop at 4. If you're writing an L.E.Q. about women's changes from one time period to another time period, and your history teacher was obsessed with talking about women's history, write everything you know. Like, the more evidence you give, if it's explained well and if it relates to the prompt, this is going to get really easy for you to get this final complexity point here.
it's like a cracks knuckles moment of like, all right, let's do this. Like,
this.
I know every Cold War. Come on, let's go. Like,
and can I clarify just something you said, Emily, with the 4, right? This is why we have the 5th one, right? The insurance policy, if you can do it, is that if you just list 4 pieces of evidence in your essay, that's not enough. If you just define 4 pieces, it's not enough. You have to be connecting it to your argument to get that complexity. Someone said, does that mean you need 4 body paragraphs? No. You can put as many pieces of evidence in a body paragraph as you need, right? You might have one topic where 3 or 4 things pop in your head, but you might have another body paragraph where only 1 pops in your head, right? There's no rule to how many have to be in each paragraph. They don't need to be separate paragraphs. In fact, the more you can blend them together, right, the more you show that higher level thinking.
Definitely.
Someone said, do the 4 pieces have to be in the thesis? No, your evidence is different. Your thesis is your categories, right? Think of your thesis as an umbrella, right? You have the umbrella, and then under your umbrella, you have your body paragraphs where your evidence grows. Or your thesis sets up your umbrella, but your evidence is in the body paragraphs. You do not need to list 5 pieces of evidence in your thesis. Then it's a list, not an argument.
Yeah, exactly. But it needs to be specific. Okay, so enough do's. Let's do some don'ts here. So I always overload images and stuff. Here's what you shouldn't do. Don't just sit down and go train of thought. Like telling me your life story or no. I know you've been on this long exam. This is your last chance. This is your last ride. Like, this is the last time you can prove that you know something. This is the thing that kicks you over the edge. If you're a 3 and you want a 4, if you're a 4 and you want a 5, if you're a 2 and you want a 3, you better be writing something on this one. So plan it out. Take a couple minutes to be like, look at the 3. Okay, this one, what do I know about this? Nothing. What do I know about this? I know a couple things. What about this one? Yeah, same. Okay, which one could I do better on? And whichever one you choose, go in. Okay, context. The background stuff I know is this, this, and this. And the evidence I know is these 3 things. What will my thesis be? Take a couple minutes. They give you 40 for this. I often find in class this one, people don't like DBQs. They're like, oh, last second, taking forever. This one, you have a little more free thinking. So plan it out before you do it. Also, I read one of these today. I literally wrote it all over the thing that I gave them. Don't write one gigantically long block of texts. I mean, I think we're getting to a point where everyone's going to stop spacing between words, and it's just going to be one long word. Like, it's really, really bad. So when you're done with context and thesis, let the readers look like the people here. Like, this isn't your random neighbor reading this. People are looking for context, looking for thesis. So when you're done with the context, space down. There's it's either called return or enter. It's on the right side of the keyboard. Hit that thing. Hit it twice. Wow, now you're moving, right? So once you're down, then start talking about, okay, here's the evidence that supports my thesis, blah, 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 blah. So don't, and indent if you can. Do you have a tab? Do you have a tab button? Is that still a thing? Am I from the 20th century? Is that what that is? So not one long paragraph. So planet, not one long paragraph. And don't just name drop. Don't be like, oh, Cold War, Sputnik. Like, don't just do that. Like, tell me, give me something. Show that you know that this supports my argument because, or Sputnik got into space. Therefore, it made the United States spend more money on the space program, creating the space race, leading to all new technologies and foreign policies where whatever, right? So don't just name it. Don't just be like, I call it, Kristen, I think, did you call this name drop? I call it like word vomit, where you're just like, here's all the history.
Word vomit is when they're like super vague and they just write a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo of nothing. It was the most important thing that ever happened, which leads us to today. That is word vomit. Name dropping is just like vocab with no elaboration whatsoever. They wrote the vocab list. They didn't define anything.
So don't do either of those while you're here. Don't do either of those. So, and then what's the other one? Oh yeah, give us a context paragraph. Just put it up top. You would be shocked how many people just don't do it. Just don't do it. So pick, you know what? Maybe if you can give background to one of the three options, do that one. That's a free point basically, because the reader's gonna be like, oh, they're doing context. This is great. This is what I like to see. So that's gonna be good. So give context. And then at the end, you often hear don't restate your thesis, upgrade your thesis, make it better, make it more specific. Like put some, this is your last moment. This is your encore. Like this is the end. What can you say? Can you make that thesis a little better? Do it if you can. And if you can save money, wouldn't you want to do that too? We put this back in. Sorry, we made our boss do this. So it's 15% off if you want to get in on the Ultimate Review packet, Exam Slayer combos, whatever. That will get you for all of them. So if you want to do that, great. If you're like, no, I'm good to go. My teacher's awesome, and I don't need anything extra because how wonderful they are. Like if you have Miss Brady, you obviously don't need this stuff. But like if you're like, I don't know what any of this is. Like they keep talking about there was a Cold War. Like what is that? Then hop in and get the Ultimate Review packet. If you're like, what's a DBQ? Get in and get the Exam Slayer, and it should be helpful. So now's your time. What do you want to know? Not just L.E.Q. What about DBQ, MCQ, whatever you want to know. This is the last time you will see. I'll be back on Monday because, again, I'm doing the Kahoot. If you won your class Kahoot, then you're entered into the Tournament of Champions. It will be wild times on Monday night. So I'll do one more live for that. But this is the last of the master classes. So what do you want to know? What do you got going on? Help us out in the chat. We'll stay. We're actually a little early tonight, so we got like 8 minutes. What do you want to know? We are here for you. One
question I've been kind of consistently seeing is, what if I can't think of anything? What if I don't know anything? I think that's always the fear of students, that you're going to show up and you're not going to know anything. But I tell my kids, like, you know way more than you realize you know. So when you hit the exam, you're going to see the 3 prompts and something is immediately going to pop in your brain. And usually once you start typing, like the brain juices just start flowing, right? So it's always this fear that we don't know anything. But like your history teachers have been teaching you the most amazing things, but also probably low-key torturing you all year long. Like, you know stuff, it's in there somewhere. I tell my students all the time, your brain is a filing cabinet. You have all these file folders. Some people's file folders are more organized than others, right? But if we dig deep enough, we're going to find it. You're going to remember stuff.
It'll shake loose when you start I always use this example. It's a dumb example, but if I can't remember something, I'm just trying to like, what is it? And I don't want to be the like, oh, I'll just look it up. When I start looking, that's generally when it comes to me, when I've like given up and I like start typing it in. And I'm like, oh yeah, that now I knew that. Yeah. So just start typing. You like do what you can. Like I'm right now just going on and on, but like you should be doing that on a keyboard and hopefully it'll come to you. It tends to work that way. If it's something you've never heard of, if it's the 30 Years War and you're in AP World History, then like, guess what? We don't know about it. So like pick
another. Also, this is why planning your essay is so important, because if you take 5 to 10 minutes to plan, you realize the first 2-3 minutes in, oh crap, I don't remember anything about this. Then you go do the other one. Right? Planning scratch paper is your friend. Use the crap out of your scratch paper. You can ask for more scratch paper. Use the scratch paper.
And that also helps whenever you hit a writer's block, which I know my students are always worried about too, is like if you bullet point 3 things that you remember about the prompt that you're going to respond to, and you get to start writing your essay and then you totally blank, just look back at your scratch paper. You already wrote it down. You helped past you is helping current you out. So that can help you out a lot in reminding you what the evidence is. There's a question here about DBQs and how to like include the documents. Yes, you can say document 1, blah, blah, blah. Or you can say blah, 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 parentheses, document 1. Either way of citing the documents for the DBQ is really helpful for the readers.
Ben, do you see that ACE comment?
Yeah.
Okay, props to Surya. Yes. We love to see the carryover in skills. This is literally how I teach in my classroom. If you can SAQ, you can do everything else. You can ACE your L.E.Q. Answer the prompt, give your evidence, explain how it supports it. Yes, ACE your L.E.Q. Yes, ma'am.
And going off of that, because you want to show some complexity, maybe you want to put multiple pieces of evidence in a paragraph. I use CER, right? Same thing. Claim, evidence, reasoning. Great body paragraph. That's what you need right there. How quickly can you write that? Yeah, you can type that L.E.Q. so great. It's just an essay, as Ms. Funderburg said.
It's amazing. I saw some questions about like time management, guys. If you've never tested online, this is why the Exam Slayer is amazing, because it's built like a Blue Book. The countdown is on your computer. So like you get 100 minutes. When you hit section 2, it's going to start at 100 minutes and it's going to count down right at the top of your screen. So you are able to see how much time you have, right? So when it hits 40 minutes left, switch from DBQ to L.E.Q. And if you have time at the end, you can go back to your DBQ if you need to. Right? You're going to be able to see the time on your screen the whole time. How long for I just said that, right? 60 minutes for DBQ, 40 for L.E.Q, but it's in the same time period. And I will tell you, we've had several students, I tell my kids this every year before exam day, that don't realize DBQ and L.E.Q are smushed together in that one time. So we had a student last year that spent 90 minutes on their DBQ, not realizing that time was also for L.E.Q. And when they realized with 10 minutes left, they started crying and just opted not to write an L.E.Q at all because they were like, oh my gosh, I screwed up. 60 minutes for DBQ, 40 minutes for L.E.Q. It is the same time period.
But if you write your DBQ in 90 minutes and you have 10 minutes left to write your L.E.Q, you can still write a contextualization statement and a thesis statement. You can still write something that will at least get you 1 or 2 points. So don't just give up. Don't just start crying. Try to power through for the next 10 minutes and then you can weep when your test is over.
And if you see one that says Cold War and you're like, well, I know something about it, then start talking about things about the Cold War randomly. Like describe them, what they are. If you don't have a thesis, that's fine. You can get that point for evidence if you just name 2 things that are relevant to the topic. Congratulations, you're in. So like there's little points like that if you are stuck in a situation like, what if I don't know what to do? Like you can get something. You can get something there because 90% of people just shut down because they're all cooked. And don't be that way. Don't be that way. Can we go home now back to communism? That's a weird prompt. That's a weird question.
Someone said
there's a lot coming in.
Second SAQ and A push. A push, second SAQ is primary source. So you have a primary source, they'll ask you to hit it, and then they'll ask for either a cause and effect, compare and contrast, some kind of skill with the primary source. You can go back and watch our SAQ video.
You can. Also, people asking, is there a curve? There is no curve. So they don't really tell you how they score it. Like there's stuff online, but that's not how it works. Like they don't even release it. I was on the scoring committee one time and they didn't even tell us. Like you think they would. So it's really up to them, but there is no curve. Scores have been going, maybe this is just AP World. Scores have been going up year by year for AP World. So like it used to be about 50% pass rate. Last year was like a 63% pass rate. So it's been going up.
Someone said, do you HIP the L.E.Q? No, HIP is the acronym we use for sourcing documents. The L.E.Q has no documents, so you have nothing to HIP.
You can't source yourself.
There's a question that keeps showing up that says, oh, I just lost it. How to get the second point for historical context for L.E.Q? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Historical context is just like that contextualization introduction to your paragraph.
Do they mean, are they asking about complexity maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, here's another one. For complexity, we need 4 pieces of evidence, but we only need to do analysis for 2, right? No. Analyze all of them. And remember, we're going for 5. We want to high five the L.E.Q.
If you can't argue 4, then it's not complex.
Exactly. Like if you just name 4 things about the Cold War that you know, those 4 things have to support your thesis.
Someone said, if I over-explain evidence or use too much, do I risk losing points? No. right? If you write something that's potentially wrong, then we just mentally cross it out and pretend it's not there. But the more you write, actually, the better off you're going to be, because your brain's more likely to take it further. You're more likely to make the argument. If you have time and thoughts to keep going, just keep going.
I think there is a character cap, but it's like astronomical.
Nothing that they could do in the 40 minutes of L.E.Q, I don't think.
Yeah.
Someone asked, what is the CER method? That's the same thing as ACE, answer, cite, explain, T, topic, evidence, analysis. I use CER, claim, evidence, reasoning. So it's just an easy way to structure your short answer questions, which again, if you can do a really good short answer question, if you've nailed a CER or an ACE or a T, you can just use that for every subsequent body paragraph that you write in your DBQ and in your L.E.Q.
Yes, you can use social, political, economic if you elaborate. So if your thesis just says social, political, economic, no point. But if you say like economic competitions between powers, social changes for women, right? If you specify something political or something economic, that is okay. You just can't leave it at social, political, economic.
Man, y'all got a lot of questions. This is like flying through it. Like I'm like trying to read one. It's just like
last paragraph. So you don't need a last paragraph. There is no point for a conclusion. At that point, literally you are 4 hours into this exam. Like your brain is not there. Just don't know what I say when Mr. Freeman said, don't restate your thesis, upgrade your thesis, right? Level up, refine your thesis. You do not need a closing paragraph for anything, but it is good to add your thesis down to the bottom. And once you've written your whole essay, this is what we mean by upgrade. You've probably been able to refine it. Your wording's going to be better. Your argument's going to be more clear because you've now made it. It's always good to have it at the end. That way, maybe if the beginning of your thesis wasn't as strong, by the end, it's usually strengthened. So when you restate it, then if you maybe didn't quite hit the mark in the beginning, you have that second chance at the end. And I will tell you, the AP reading, this happens a lot. We have something where like, oh, they have no thesis. And we get to the end, we're like, oh, thank God, there it is, right? We want to find it for you.
It happens to me every time. I'll be reading one. I'm like, this kid doesn't know what it, and then I jump to the end. I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty good. So like I go on an emotional roller coaster with the second thesis.
Trying to calm your brain if you're stressed while taking the exam. I love that, right? You're going to be stressed, right? It's a high stakes test. Everyone in there is nervous, and that nervous energy kind of compiles. If you're in, a room with a lot of people, take a second, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and keep going. There's always this fear of panic because it feels so high stakes. Most students, I don't know about you guys, but my students will walk out of the AP exam and they'll all be like, oh my God, that was so much easier, right? They usually feel relieved when it's over. Take a second, take a breath. You guys know so much. So just take a second.
Also, it's all a rough draft. Who cares? It's just a test. No one cares. Let's do your best. Do what you can. Don't stress out. Who cares? You'll be fine. You'll all go to Harvard. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So somebody asked this. I thought this was weird. That your thesis should be very broad. You need specificity in your thesis, regardless of what it is. Don't just say economic and political, and then later on you get specific. Be specific up front. Like, tell me what those things are up front. Otherwise, it's not an argument. You're just naming categories. Anyone can name categories. You economic, political, scientific, technological. Like, that's fine, but like that's not going to get you a point. Your thesis needs to be a claim. You need to say something. That economic isn't something.
Well, and I think to clarify too, like let's say we're writing this Cold War I and Marshall Plan is my evidence. If that's my evidence, I don't need to say Marshall Plan in my thesis, but I could talk about economic intervention in foreign policy, right? That's specific, but it's not literally my evidence, right? We don't need to list all 5 pieces of evidence there, but you do need to be specific, right? What is our specific economic category?
I also like that this completely blocks you out when I bring up a question. I'm just noticing that right now. People are asking, so I will do this just shamelessly here. Is this the right? This is what the Ultimate Review Packet looks like if you're going to the website. Like if you're taking other APs, and some of you are, what's wrong with you? Why are you taking so many APs? All this stuff is here for you. You can just go on there, click on, if you're a US person, you can click there and all the stuff is here. Get that 15% off with, did I lose it already? That's the that's the History 15, as people were asking. So if you want that discount, that's there for you. Yeah, so we are over 3 minutes. What do you guys want to do?
I think a lot of people are asking questions about short answer questions and DBQs. Okay. We did videos about those. What? Mr. Freeman, where can they find all of those videos?
I feel like if I had like a channel, and then on that channel I could like post videos and stuff. go there. They're there. And you can fast forward through all the dumb stuff I say and go to the important stuff. So they're there. They're just like this. It's us walking through the same thing. These slides, I posted the slides on those. So if you haven't seen those yet, you won't be angry like everyone else who was actually looking for the slides, because they're there now. So once this is done, I will post this in the comments, the slides. So you can, like, if you're like, what is this? What was that again? People were asking about the, you know, well, what about the thesis there? Was this good or whatever? Then yeah, just go back and look at it. It's all here for you. So yeah. All right. I don't know. It's late. I gotta go over
past midnight on the East Coast, right?
It's actually tomorrow. I got class in like an hour, I think, maybe. So hopefully this helps. I don't suggest doing a counter argument, and I rarely see it where people ask for complexity. I know other people online will tell you to do the counter evidence, like to give, like, oftentimes it just sounds like you're arguing with yourself, and it can, in my opinion, it can stop you from like actually getting a thesis point if you're saying this versus that and not actually like focusing on making a claim and Kristen, you said this the best, get the gettable points. Like, get the ones you don't lose a thesis point because you're looking for complexity.
Right. Like, if you write a good essay, the complexity becomes organic, right? Counter argument for A push rarely works either. It also feels kind of like secondhand, not very well thought out, contradicts the things you said in the rest of your essay. It just doesn't really work. And that's why College Board clarified the rubric, right? If you're going for complexity, right, high five the L.E.Q. But when I see people that are like, okay, here's 4 evidence, but they have no intro paragraph, they work so much harder for that point when they could have written 3 sentences in the intro and would have had a point, right? Like, we don't want to leave easy points on the table because we get so hung up on complexity. I didn't look at the data for the L.E.Q. I looked at the data for the DBQ last year, and it was like, I think 15% of kids maybe, or 12%. Like, it was, I mean, even with the revised rubric, it was pretty low. Like, it's not a good effort of your time, like, especially for the L.E.Q. This is the last 30 minutes of an almost 4-hour test. Like, just list as much evidence as you can, right? Explain your evidence, and it will come on its own.
Great words. Great words. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, love it.
Yeah. And so if you're like, oh, they didn't answer the question in the chat, ask your teacher tomorrow. They are experts. They know this stuff.
Or the magical CED, like, it literally tells you everything. Yeah. It's not like a secret College Board document that they hide. If you literally Google CED, College Board, A push, AP World, AP Euro, whatever, it has all the magical things that we are telling you. It's a magical guidebook, tells you anything you want to know.
It's
other than what the prompt is going to be.
And if you don't like reading, I know where you can get 15% off of a great guide for these things. So
and if they want more tips on the exam stuff, right? The videos in the exam slayer that break down exam skills. So how do you get the points? What is complexity? We have specific videos for each specific course in the exam slayer too.
Yep. So it's all there for you. And hey, this is crunch time. So you won't find your score. You won't get your score until like July sometime anyway. So do your best. That's all you can do. And so, all right. I'm going to call
Best of luck, y'all.
Yeah, I think you
next
got
week.
It. I think you got it. So, all right, guys, if you need more, come back and look for this slideshow in the comments. If you want to go back and watch these or whatever, do that. If you're AP World person, heads up. The Kahoot is Monday night. Follow us for all more content. We'll be posting stuff all the way up to the exams. And yeah, thanks a lot, guys. We will. We wish you the best of luck on the exam, I guess. Bye.
Bye.